Hi boys, so we're on our next project and the next request is for a Hydra, and I had never heard of a Hydra before, so I had to look it up, and apparently when you cut off a head it grows back too. Now that's kind of scary, isn't it? So as I sketched out our piece, I have like 8 heads, and I'm not sure if that's going to be too many to accomplish. So maybe you don't have to do that many, and maybe when I get into it, I will do less. We'll see. Excuse me. So we need to get our articles together: our paint, our paper, hopefully watercolor paper, brushes, and some paper towels. So you have something to wipe your brush off on when you change colors. And the colors I'm going to use are dark green, a red, and a yellow. And we'll mix some of those together too, and then we've got the paper that's white. So get your stuff together and we'll start on our Hydra. So I have my paper here, and I've put on the tape on the edges like I did before, so you have a nice crisp outline. You don't have to do that. So I thought the best way was to start with the heads, and the way I'm going to do the heads, I'm going to think of an oval, but more like a jelly bean oval, where it's kind of long and thin. So I'm going to start over here and do a jelly bean oval like that. And that is too big on the bottom. Oval like that. And then we're going to do another oval on top of it so they connect. So this is going to be another jelly bean oval on top of that. Then you're going to take your eraser and erase the inside. The one inside. We're going to keep this one. Let me do that. So just looks like that. Okay? So we're going to do that across the page at different places. This one, a jelly bean oval here, one on top, long and thin, and then erase that, and then one in the center here, and like that. So now you see the heads of the Hydra are facing this way. Now on the other side, we're going to do, so I guess maybe I only have 6. We're going to do a jelly bean oval and another one. And this time, no, I erased the wrong one. Wait a minute. We're going to erase the other side, so it looks like a top of them and a bottom. Okay, and then like the jaw and the top of the mouth and the bottom of the mouth, and then we'll put one over here, and erase that one. Oh, I did the wrong side again. That, and maybe I want the bottom jaw longer. Good thing we have erasers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And maybe I'll do another. I'm going to do one right close to this one and then kind of connect them so it looks like 2 heads have grown out of one. Like that. And this one. So there are my heads. Okay? Now, I'm going to put the tongues in. No, before that, I'm going to do the outline of the jaw. So we're going to do just the outline. So it look a place where we're going to place the teeth. inside. So we're going to have it kind of disappear on the other side. So it only is really one side. I'm going to make that jaw a little shorter. And do around here. Around here. Around here. So that looks like that. So that's the jaw, that kind of like the gum line is what we would call. Now I'm going to put in the tongue. So just start back here, long with a V in it, or an arrowhead, and then erase the jaw. Erase it so that it looks like the tongue is on top. So let's do that for the rest of them. Gangly looking tongue. Maybe we want to curve it some. Maybe I'll make this one longer. I didn't read anything about the tongues of the Hydra. I don't know if they are special in any way, but certainly the picture I saw had the tongues really long. And then the last one here. Like that. So there are my tongues coming out of the Hydra. Now we're going to put the eyes in. And the way we're going to do the eyes, kind of back far on the head, we're going to do a slight curve on the top and a slight curve on the bottom. And then curves inside. That's simple. Curve, curve up from the bottom, curve down from the top, and I left a space on either side, and then the curves inside of the eye. So we'll do that, trying to make them look scary. For some reason my video stopped recording, I don't know why. So what I did when it was stopped recording is I put in the bodies. So just take a curve off each head, off the back of each head, and from the jaw, do those curves. And this one over here, I tried to connect together like it was growing from off a head that was cut off. And the top of the heads, I'm doing this upside down, so top of the heads, make sure that it's like there's a couple places I'm erasing so that it looks like it's connected better. Okay, now the other thing we're going to do is I noticed on the back of them it had jagged, whatever you call it. I couldn't remember the name of this. So you want to add those in because those are going to be a light color, so, and we have to remember to do those before. I'm going to put him around a little bit like that. Does that look right? Let me try doing this right side up. It's helpful. So over here, we're going to do some, it's not, I don't think they're feathers. What would you call it, boys? Scales? I don't know. Like that. We'll do that with our paintbrush, but we've got to make sure we leave it light enough because that's going to be a light color. And then the other thing we can draw in before we start painting is the teeth, because those are going to be white. So in the jaw here, I'm just going to put some teeth and maybe one coming down from the top. A couple of teeth here. A couple of teeth coming down from the top. That's making it look scarier, I think. Let's see, here there's a tooth, this wherever you want it. A couple of coming down here. Okay, so that's the end of our drawing, and let's remember to take our eraser and take up a lot of the lead, because remember, when we paint over it, we cannot erase it after we paint over it. Especially when we have a light color, that makes a big difference. The eyes, we want the teeth, we want all of those to be a light color. So we're picking up our lead here. I would have done it in lighter myself as I drew it, but I was afraid you guys couldn't see it. So I put my pencil down heavy, and you guys can put it down lighter if you want. It would be easier so you don't have quite so much lead to mop up before we start. Okay, I think that's our drawing. There you go. That's the drawing. Okay, so now the paint I'm going to use, I'm going to mix up a green that I like. Maybe you have one in your palette that you do like already, and a red. So let's see. Have you guys gotten a spray bottle to spray your paints with? It's very good. So this green of mine, well, I guess I need a little water on that. This green is it's called Viridian. I think it's really pretty. It's a blue green. But I noticed as I was playing with my paints that if I took this Viridian and I added this brown, it's called burnt sienna. I took that burnt sienna and added it to this green Viridian. It came out with a lovely dark kind of a green that I'd like for the Hydra's body. And then we were going to need, get my paper towel here, wipe my paintbrush off on the paper towel, because we don't want to contaminate the paint if we're mixing it together. I want this yellow, and this yellow for me is called yellow ochre. Don't know what kind of yellow you have. That's going to be the spiky things on the back of the Hydra's back. That yellow color. And then we'll need a red for the tongue. So I was going to use permanent red light here. For a good tongue color, not too pink. It's an orangey kind of red. The other thing I noticed that if I took this Viridian, let's put some permanent red light over here. I could make a darker kind of scary brown color by taking the Viridian and adding it to permanent red light. Was a different kind of a browny green that might be useful to get two different colors on the coat of the Hydra. So you get your paints ready, what colors you're going to use, and then we'll get started. The first thing I'm going to paint is I'm going to paint the thingies on the back. I can't wait for you guys to tell me what the name of these things are, because they're light, and if I put a color over this by mistake, paint something over this first, I won't be able to ever make it light again. Maybe we'll put some up here too. I thought that was very interesting on the Hydra. Down here, we'll do some. Make it spiky. Some on the head here. They also look like they had gills coming out where their ears were. So we're going to try and do that. We haven't sketched it in, but I think we'll just be able to put it on top, because they're kind of, look like they were kind of see-through, the gills or the ears. Let's see. Maybe, since I'm right-handed, I'm going to turn mine around and do this way. Is that going to work for me? The fact that I sketched them in makes it easier doing it upside down. And then over here. That needs a little more water. I'm wondering if you did any painting on your own since you did the last tutorial. Have you gotten your paints out and just tried something on your own? When I started painting, I was a grandmother when I started painting. And the thing that really encouraged me was that someone said it's 90%, or you could say mostly, practice. I thought, well, if it's just practice, if it's just doing it, learning and doing it, I can do that. Okay, so there is our back things, whatever we're going to call them. The next thing I'm going to do is the tongue. Make sure that all the color is off my brush here. Okay, let's get this red and bring it right down through the mouth. And make a V like that. Got a lot of tongues to do here. Right out of their mouth. This one's more wobbly. I like that fact that it's wobbly. I think I'm going to try and do that as I paint it. Make it a little more wobbly. Now, if you get too much paint on your brush, if it's too watery, you can always dip it in a paper towel to take some off. The thing with watercolor is you need not too much water, but enough water. And one of the things that took me quite a while to learn was how much water is too much and how much water is enough. Too much water, not only does it dilute the color when you want something a dark color, but it also can give you funny looking blotches if you've got too much water. Blotches that you don't really want. And if you don't have enough water, the paint doesn't move. So the only way you learn that is by practice. That's why they say it's 90% practice. 10% talent, I guess, was the other percentage. Mostly practice, but 10% or a little bit of talent. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the inside of the mouth red. And it's a little bit less red, a lighter red than the tongue. But I'm going to be careful to go around the outline of the teeth. So that way, there's a big contrast. So contrast means when something is light and something is dark. When something is light and something is dark, it's easy to see the difference between them. So, put this up here. Can you see how the teeth stick out that way? Because we've got red, and we're going to have the jaw be green. So I'm going to complete that, going around, filling in the mouths. And remember to have your paper towel nearby. I think I have too much water on that. How do you know you have too much water? Well, you kind of get the feel in your brush. It starts to feel too heavy for you, and that just comes with practice as well. I've got a really good tip on this brush. Let's see over here. In some sense, the mouth should be darker than the tongue because it would be in the shadow of the upper mouth. So maybe when it dries, we'll need to go back over it. Remember, you don't want to add, when you add some color paint onto the top of something that's half dry, that's when you start to get blotchiness. So you try not to just think, oh, I'm going to fix that. In watercolor, it's dangerous to try and fix things. You need to let it dry first, and then you can go back and fix it. Oh, I'm noticing here, I think I wanted to put some spiky yellow thingies on the back here. Here we go. Yes, here's one like that. Paint is drying up so fast. Must be, it's kind of a hot day, but not as hot as it was the rest of the week. Oh my goodness, we had some very hot days. There we go, like that. Okay, finish that, and then we'll go on to, I think the next thing will be their jawline. Okay, now I'm going to do their jawline. I just noticed that my paint has been mixing together here, my two greens. Not a big deal, I think, but I'm going to take this green. I might want to add some more paint because I feel like it's too watery. I want it darker. Remember, more paint, less water will get it darker for you. Remember that first, I think it was the very first video I did, and it was tea to coffee, tea to butter. Start with tea, and then, yeah, we're mixing those together. More concentrated paint, less water, makes your paint darker. Okay, so we'll see how this is. I'm going to try and just do this bottom jawline. So that's kind of delineated in our painting. Then the teeth will really stand out. Do it over on this side too, and then maybe I'll make the color of the body a little different so we notice the jawline. around like that. That side. I don't know why my paints are mixing all together on my metal palette today. It didn't seem like I did that before. Oh well. Okay. And then over here, the same thing. And then after we do this, we're going to have to let it dry. But as we're letting this part dry, we'll find another part of the painting we can do, just not where this is. Let's see. Dip it off there. Jawline. This one doesn't have any teeth. What happened to the teeth on this one? I didn't put any teeth, or I forgot about it. We got a toothless Hydra. Well, there's a tooth in the front. This is a toothless Hydra too, except for there's two front teeth over here. Maybe he bit something that took his teeth out. I'm going to go around that edge too. Now let's do, yes, this edge. There's a tooth right there. And let's just around that edge there and make it look like the other side of his mouth. Okay, good for that. So I've got my green mixed up here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put water, just water. If it's a little discolored, that's okay, on our Hydra. And I'm going to go right up close. We're just going to put all the water on his body here. A little bit discolored, but that's okay because it's going to be a darker color. Move that water around. Remember, it can't be too much, it can't be too little. It should glisten, but it should not pool. I'm going to put it on his head too, being careful not to touch the eye. Remember, the water becomes a barrier, so that's very useful. Now I'm going to take the green and drop it in the top. I feel like I need a different kind of brush here. I might change my brushes out for the next one. And then draw the color down. And then we want to put it on the head too. Avoiding the eye. And then what we're going to do, we're going to get a different paintbrush. Make sure there's enough color here. Yeah, let's make sure there's enough. I'm going to add a little more. Remember, it's dicey adding more, but I think we're okay. I'm going to get a smaller paintbrush here and just get water, and I'm going to dab the water, take some of it out, into this paint. And it's going to make the skin kind of look pockly. And that's the picture that I saw. The skin had kind of a pockled or speckled look to it. And then we're going to let it dry that way. And then on that side, we're letting it dry. We can move over to this other side and work on that side while this side is drying. Okay, now I'm going to work on this other side. I'm going to get it wet. Let's make sure. And actually, I've mixed some other paint up in here. I wasn't happy with that paint being all over the other palette. I couldn't, it was difficult picking it up. So getting the color off of this brush so I can come in here and just paint with white, with water, not with white, with water over this Hydra. And over his face, but not his eye. Like that. This is where you have to work fast to get this so it's Does it look, yeah, it looks kind of glistening, but not pooling. So I've got a different brush here that I thought might work better. So I'm gonna, oh, this is a nice dark one. So put this, yeah, this paint is a little better. It's a little darker. I can always add darkness to that one over there. So this is, pull down into his body. And then we are going to take that smaller brush, where'd mine go? Right here, with water on it, just water, and we're going to dab it to make the pockly part. And this, you have to dab it when it's wet. And this is where this new water that I'm adding is pushing away the paint. Lots of times you don't want that to happen, but you see how, we'll see later that you can really see it's make it all pockly looking. I think that looks cool. So we're going to go back now and work on, let's work on the middle one because it doesn't touch anything. Again, is this, yes, that doesn't have any color in it. So let's work on this middle one. Originally in the picture that I saw, there was some kind of knight or somebody with a sword trying to fight with this animal. And I decided not to put it in this picture. That's called, you edit things out, that you don't have to do exactly what you see. You just kind of get inspired by other pictures to do your own. And I decided it was too much to put that in as well. But if you want to put in something down here yourself, that's a knight or a sword or somebody fighting it, because it certainly looks like this Hydra is fighting something, doesn't it? I'm just guessing mine is off the page. Okay, is that enough water? I feel might need a little more water on his face. That. Okay, now this paintbrush with the darker green we're going to do, and it just flows so nice when you put water in first. And bring it all down. So I wanted to show up close what the pockly thing looks like when you drop plain water into the dark green paint. Okay, so now we're going to do this one over here the same way. Add water. We'll have to think of what we want to do for a background as well. We could have just a kind of a nondescript background. In the picture that I saw, it was just kind of like a light green background. Wasn't anything specific. Maybe we'll do that. Or you could make a gray sky or a blue sky. Could be a nice day when this terrific monster shows up, couldn't it? Doesn't have to be a bad day. It could be a lovely day for this monster to show up. That would be scary out of the blue. Literally out of the blue if it's a blue sky. Okay, I think that's wet enough. And get this brush. It's helpful to have two brushes. One to wet with and one to paint with, that's for sure. Drop in the paint here. Being careful of the eye. Go underneath it, and then so I've taken a little time off camera to fix this one over here and add another green, and we're going to finish by doing these two and then the base here, the body. So let's wet it up. Wet the body of this Hydra. And if it's not exactly the same green as that, it'll be good, because in fact I had to mix up some more, because then it'll show the difference between the two. Here we are also coming around some teeth that I put in. I noticed earlier that the video didn't catch me putting the teeth in. So hopefully you've done that without my telling you so. And we're going to put water down here as well. Yeah, I think I said earlier that I've had trouble because my video keeps turning off. And I think it was because my phone was too full and it couldn't do any more videos. So actually this is the next day. I spent the rest of yesterday trying to take things off my phone so the video would work better. So we'll see what happens if all the stuff I took off my phone is actually helping today with this video process. Okay, so that's wet enough. Now, oops, let's see. I wanted to do another, remember I used that other paintbrush, it worked better to drop in the paint, I thought. So yeah, this one, this was better. Drop in the paint and just pull it down into the water. And this is not quite as dark as the one next to it. That's the one where we did it twice. But that's good, because you know what it does is it, I think there's too much, so you can remember, if you get too much, you can pull it up with a thirsty brush if you get too much paint. So you just take a brush that doesn't have any water in it and put it near the place where it has too much water, too much paint, and it'll drink it like a straw. So let's see, we'll put that right in the center, and then we'll pull this down and let it flow. Hopefully it will be flowing into what's down here. Oh, and then up here. Is this still wet? Yes, it's still wet. Good. I forgot that we had, this was wet. You gotta have the right wetness or we're sunk. Now those teeth will stick out when we do the background. Okay, do that one. I'm gonna do the one over here. So we're gonna take our that brush. I'm thinking it's looking pretty scary. This is looking better than I thought it would. Remember at the beginning, I think I said, not everything you do comes out wonderful, and you just have to keep going, because there are lots of things that artists do that you never see because they feel, oh, this is no good. You have to just practice and keep doing it. And while you're doing it, even when you've done it for a long time, there are times when you try something and it just doesn't work, or you've had a bad day, or there's something else going on. And of course they never show you those paintings. So don't think that artists always have a great result. Okay, now here, you can see what I'm doing. See, here I've got too much paint. I'm going to draw it down here right now, but I'm going to take this thirsty brush and drink up this painting here, move it around. See how that it really took it and drank it up? Oh, you know what I forgot to do over here? I forgot see, this is what I get for doing it the next day. I forgot to drop in the pucks. And see, now you'll see that because it's dried a bit, it's not going to work as well. It'll work some. There we go. It hasn't dried quite as much as I thought. Okay, so let's not forget that to do over here. More green paint, please. Now we've got to put this here, and then we're going to do our hawks by dropping in paint, dropping in water, not paint. This one right here might need to be done a second time if it comes out too light. Oh, look at that. That's really pockly. Okay, so just, that's too much water. A little bit of water. Like that. Okay. And we'll let that dry. Okay, now we're going to do the body. And we're going to wet the whole thing, and we're going to wet up into the heads, the necks. And then we want the water to spread up until the necks so that there is not a harsh line like there was. We don't want a harsh line, we want it to smooth together. So these two are a little damp, but I think we can do it. So I'm going to start down here, and just, this is going to take a lot of water. Make sure you have enough green paint. I mixed some more green paint up here because we don't want to have to do that in the middle. So you're going to just brush the water right into what's already painted, the neck there. And any places that you've missed, maybe. I see a little place here that looks like I could have put more paint. Connect those together. And then I'm thinking, of course, that the body should be the same color as the necks. And over here. Now the thing with watercolor paper is that it takes water, where other kind of paper just does not. The water doesn't absorb in the same. It just, the paper starts falling apart. You don't want that. Okay, this is looking pretty good here. Put it in the, is it wet, shiny, glistening? It looks like it's glistening. Okay, now we are going to take our paint and put it across the bottom here. Looks like it's a little bit different kind of a green, and then we're going to brush it up into, let it flow. We want to do some, make the body, I think, pockly too, do we? There. See, this is a new kind of a green. It does dry a little differently than, dries lighter usually. Let's see. And then I'm going to turn my paper upside down and let it flow. Turn it around. That's one of the things I think is so fun with watercolors. You take the paper and you move it to the right, to the left, up and down. See what happens. Okay, so that's what we're going to do right now. We take this and do like that and see if it will, what kind of movement we can get. Looks like it's moving some. Now let's put it back this way. Let it move back down this way. I think one thing I'd like to do, see if I can. Now see, I'm doing what you're not supposed to. Ooh, right there we have a place, right there we have a place. That makes a harsh line there. We'll have to fix it later. Remember I said you don't try and fix it when it's wet. I just did that, it's so tempting. And I think that's the wrong color, green. I'd like to let it dry and then see if I can mix up a green. We'll see when it dries if it's better. Let's add the pockly marks to it with our just plain water as we go through. Just stamp it, dot it. I can't wait to see your guys when you have yours done, what yours came out to look like. There's a place there that looks like it's... Okay, let's let that dry. And I'm going to, while I'm letting it dry, I'm going to mix up another green that hopefully is more closer to that. Okay, well, we're waiting for that to dry, and we're going to fix that. I don't like the transition. We can go over it again when it's dry. But while we're waiting for that to dry, we can do something that's not connected to it. And I have this part right here, pretty much, and over here, this might be a better part to do it, that's not connected. And we're going to do the background. And what I've done for a background color is I've taken my yellow that I used and I mixed it with the green. But I started with the yellow and put very little green into it, and then I added water. So the color that it came out to be is that very light. I think that'll look good in the background. So we're going to do the same thing as far as water. We're going to put water through this, and we have these lines that we'll have to be careful of the fins or whatever we call that back thing on their heads. So we're going to wet this down and then wet it in between. Kind of hard to see. I have to get the light right to see what I'm doing. And then we can also paint that with a paintbrush when we're painting this side. Okay, so let me get a paintbrush that I would like to use for this. I'll get this one. I have the advantage of having different paintbrushes. So we're going to add the color here and just want it to be a light background. So I'm going to pull it down in between these fins or feathers or whatever they are. Over here too. And this also, when we pull off the tape around the back, you'll see that it gives it a nice straight line. Okay, and I think I can do this part. Well, let me go over here. I'll put water there. I'm interested in what colors you're going to pick. Will you do green or blue or gray, or is there some other color that you think the background should be? Pull it through here. The noses touch there. Well, his nose touches. Okay. I got my paint, and I also put a lot of water in this paint. I mixed the, I don't know if I said that or not, I mixed the yellow with a little bit of the green, and then I added quite a bit of water to make it a light green. I think that's one of the things that happened here. I didn't add enough water. It wasn't that the paint wasn't right, the right color. It wasn't the right darkness. It was too dark to match the rest. And since we can't make things lighter, we're going to have to maybe make it darker. I don't like the transition here. We'll see what we can do to fix that. And I just put right between there. And now I can do this place. We'll see if yours is dried yet. Right to there, I'm going to do it with water. And now with paint. I hope I have enough paint of this. Remember, you can always sop things up too. You can take a paper towel, like if I think like that, how that matches, that's too much paint. I could always take a paper towel and blot it up. That's better. Okay, and now I'm going to do, well, maybe I'll do this one over here. And I've got some teeth there that I need to keep white. So I'm not going to put the water by the teeth. Be very careful to keep those separate. And then this brush, oops, okay, this is where I can sop it up off that tooth. That. And then so this video doesn't get too long, I'm going to turn the video off and you can finish doing those places. Okay, now I finished my background and I like how that turned out, but the thing I don't like is the transition from the body to the heads. So it's dry now. I'm going to wet it all again, and I'm going to wet it into the body some, higher up. And then I'm going to add another color of paint and see if that helps. So here we are with the water. And since it's such, so I'm going to go up there. It's I'm going to get a bigger brush so that I can, if I just do it with a tiny brush, what's going to happen is that by the time I get one side done, the other side is going to be dry. So I need a bigger brush to wet it. Some of the color is coming up, which that's what happens with watercolor. When you get it wet, some of the color will come up. Over here, this doesn't look like it's connected, so I'd like to connect that better. And this I need to, yes, make it go up. So as we're wetting it, yeah, some of the color, I had too much color over here. I'm just kind of moving it around here. Interesting. It's so green. And I'd like to have it connect better. You can see that green paint coming off. Here we're going to move it around. So maybe just moving this around is going to be helpful. We'll see. Might be they don't even need to add more paint. Goodness. Interesting. I'm always learning things. This one has a lot of paint here. I'm going to move it up into his neck. See if we can get it all connected. And move some of it down here. Look at that. I had way too much paint on that. Maybe that was my problem. But now we need to add some pox back in, I think. This up there. I don't even think I'm going to add paint, but look at that over here. We will add the pox. We don't want it to be too much. I'm going to dab it all over the place here. And then we have one more thing to do, and that is the eyes. And I think what we should do in the center of the eye is color it in black. I don't know if you have the color black or something close to it. You know, black, you make the color black by putting all the colors together. So if you don't have black, you can try mixing a little bit of every single color that you have in your palette. That always doesn't work depending on the kind of palette you have. So you could take a black pen and add it. I'm going to take, I have a color called Payne's Gray, and that's what I'm going to use. And is that, let's see, that doesn't look connected there. Try and connect that a little better. Try and connect this a little better. That isn't very smooth there. So I'm going to get my black out. And a very small paintbrush. This small paintbrush. I don't know if you can see how small that is, but I'm going to take the Payne's Gray, which is a black, and I'm going to do the center of the eyes. I want to make sure that I have white left. And I don't want to put my hand in the painting. I did that on another one, didn't I? Put my hand there. And got paint all over my arm and messed the painting up. I don't want to do that now. Okay. And I think my painting is done. I'm going to, I'll have a picture at the end where I've ripped off the tape on the corners. But that's my Hydra. I can't wait to see yours. Don't forget to let me know what you'd like to do next time if you finish the piece. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.